didn't really expect Rek'Sai to come out first from all the jungle picks that were still available, given that Bel'Veth is still open. You have the Wukong that Badamu also he also showed that he can play that champion. Looks like Pieces of Hate will just set up for the classic 5-point defense. And so will BAF, so no early game moves from either side.
30 seconds until minions spawn.
There was always the option for BAF to make the first move with Gardevoir having that stun primed up as you go out of a fountain. That's one small quality of life buff that Annie received recently. You don't have to stack your W up in base if you want to get your Pyromania up and ready to go. It's basically ready from the first second of the game, so it is something that does help the champion a little bit. But obviously all the buffs to the shields and the damage from the Tibbers as well. That was a lot more impactful. That basically catapulted Annie to a place where she is now, basically a mid-support flex, maybe even a top lane flex if some teams were bold enough to do it. I feel like bot lane should be a pretty calm lane, at least in the early game. Before level 6, we won't see that much stuff happening. Granada's mostly just there to provide some peel and coverage later on. Not necessarily a very impactful lane pick. But going back to the junglers here, Badamu has already finished his blue side jungle. Gonna go straight to... well, not straight to Raptors. He's actually going to attempt a mid lane gank first, and Chop the Farmer still clearing his blue buff. Well, bot lane's under attack too. Chop, Granny Spanner flashing in for that kill. They will get first blood, and now Yuna, he's trying to go for that kill, but he's slowed by the auto attacks, and it's a double kill for Granny Spanner. What a start for Boosted as Fuck to week 6 to get a 2v2 kill. Not just one kill, it's actually 2 kills for the Ashe. It is such a big boon for this team. Well, obviously, Sivir is going to scale regardless, but having that lead is going to do a lot. You're also seeing T-Zum's already taking Cargilly down to half. He still has a potion ready to use, but you can already feel some pressure mounting here. Gardevoir is the only one who's not really... doesn't really have a lead going on, understandably so. And he's not really an early game champion. Level 6 doesn't really provide much of anything. Apart from perhaps like good gank setup with the flash. Can be a guaranteed stun with a point and click ability, but when it comes to just raw laning ability, Annie is not quite the kind of champion that just bullies the lane like a classic control mage would. Gardevoir, nice dodges here, but Bryn still has phase rush. He is running out of resources though, but here comes Badamu. He could just fight an angle here if Gardevoir is not careful. The cleanse comes out from a rinse, cancels out the ignite, but now Gardevoir is truly helpless without that flash. Betamu just has to press flash himself, and it's a return kill for Pieces of Hate in the mid lane. That Cassiopeia, having the lead, is going to maybe even be decisive in this game when you consider the team comp on the other side. I feel like Cassiopeia can do a lot of work versus some of the short range champions on the other side. But again, it has to be said that Silas could be the linchpin here as well. The ultimate is that he can steal this game. Not to be underestimated. From that double kill now, we haven't really seen Boosted as Fuck try and push their lead further forward. We're actually seeing a situation where UNL is more or less ahead, even in CS right now. As soon as Granny Spanner catches the rest of that wave. I feel like could be pushing it a little bit further here. But maybe they were just setting up for their jungler. Chop the Farmer is close by, about to hit that Blast Cone and maybe do something. But look at what's happening. From Pieces of Hate, they were already at that dragon. They're absolutely ready for any kind of skirmish to happen. Chop the Farmer is waiting. He's not going to just take that without any forethought. He is just going to back away, and rightfully so. I feel like that would not result in anything positive for Boosted as Fuck. But now we're seeing a big trade in the top lane, perhaps even an all-in, as T-Zums presses his ultimate. But the ultimate from Cargilly comes out in return, and it's a solo kill from PCS's newly appointed top laner. The Sejuani does have a lot of damage packed in her kit in this early game. And T-Zums definitely underestimated that. It's 2 for 2 right now in the kill count. Pieces of Hate may have lost out of that 2v2, but they're still going strong. Mid lane objective is still being fulfilled right now. Look at what Cargilly's doing right here. He's actually roaming from top lane straight onto Gardevoir, who's still without the flash. He's stunning Sejuani to try and get away, but he's still a very slow champion. Going to fall right here. The Tibbers is enraged, trying to chase down the Boar Rider, or in this case the Poro Rider, but it won't be a kill in the end. And if Pieces of Hate gets another one on the board. Now Chop the Farmer, he has to be a little bit careful here. Although PCS mid laner is low on resources, so I don't know if he can even assist this. Betamu tunnels out of there. Chop the Farmer has the stolen ultimate from the Rek'Sai, so Betamu will not try anything fancy here by the looks of things. Cargilly is now coming in. They will try and defend this. Chop the Farmer is still committed to this play, but Urgot is not there. So it's just an awkward flash from Chop the Farmer, not really a coordinated invade onto this blue buff. A lack of communication there, 100%. What could have perhaps been an opportunity just ended up in a pretty wasteful flash. But there's still a lot to play for here. Cargilly's just going to build that Iceborne Gauntlet in this matchup, which is understandable. Provides the additional slow. The armor versus the Urgot. Primarily the type of resistance you want to build against the champion. It's not really a lane you're looking to win anyway. Bedamu's waiting. All the Enchanted Crystal Arrows just about going to whiff, and Bedamu is still alive. Goes for the Roid Rush. Tries to get that kill onto Chop the Farmer. It will just be a 1-for-1 because Arenz is there to assist. But now, Teasums is entirely surrounded by all of PCS, as they were there anyway to start off the Rift Herald. And that is another awkward situation for Boosted as Fuck as they lose 2. And they will definitely lose this Rift Herald. Now if you look at bottom, it is Granny Spanner taking the plates. So it is not something that just went without a punish from Boosted as Fuck. This does make Ashe even stronger going into the future, but the question is, can BAF actually take advantage? They may have they may have had a very good streak recently, but I feel like this is definitely their hardest opponent to date, and they have to prove that they can actually hold their ground. Especially in an even game like this. You had that bot lane lead, but PCS were able to answer back. So now it's about how much you can do in the next 5 minutes. Try and respond to what PCS is doing. Bedamu targeting mid again. He has a flashback up. He will be going for his aggressive plays, pushing further and further forward. PCS got that push in the bot lane, now moving straight to Dragon, getting some vision down. BAF will respond in kind. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow could come out soon from Granny Spanner, but look at what's happening mid lane. The mid lane turret is being pressured right now. Gardevoir can't really move from his position right now. PCS daring BAF to move forward. That Nico is in a very dangerous spot. Could be a Pop Blossom inside of his choke point. BAF have to be very careful when it comes to how they approach this objective. Now, they're basically forced out. Do they still want to go for this? The flash comes in, but Chop the Farmer is not in range to steal this. It's still a 1-for-1 right now, but now PCS answering back. What a petrifying gaze from Arenz. They get another kill. Now it's Digitest against 3 of PCS. That's not a fair fight at all. Digitest will most likely fall in just a few seconds. And it's a very easy teamfight victory for PCS. They're stacking those dragons. And this gold lead, very likely to increase right now. The plates are still up. Both Sivir and Cassiopeia will enjoy those plates for sure. Look at her items right now. It's so hard for BAF to fight back as Granny Spanner. Yeah, he was definitely not safe in that spot. PCS now abusing a potential weakness without remorse. As Yuna's lead... Well, Yuna's lead. He didn't really have a lead prior to this, but now... I would hazard a guess, he's up in gold. Just wish I knew the hotkey. Used to be X. I don't know how you're supposed to check the gold right now. I'm pressing all the buttons on my keyboard. I'll try and figure that out in the future. I'm not, you know, don't want to affect the experience negatively right now. Considering what is happening in this game, it feels like a very advantageous game for PCS, but still only about 700 gold in terms of gold difference. So PCS, I mean, BAF are not out of it yet, but when you look at what's happening in the game, it does have to feel awkward to play this game out, as Yuna has to pop on the hunt just to stay alive. But now he goes for a kill, and he's gonna get it onto Granny Spanner. He keeps going in, gets the spell shield off on one of the Silas's spells, but in a 1v2 situation, there was way too much damage. Now Frostmoth is going to respond with a combo of his own, plus the Ignite. Now Arenz is here, and the Miasma prevents the Silas from moving in any direction. Chop the Farmer is dead to rights, and so is Gardevoir. That stun is going to land. The auto attack will finish him off. PCS getting kills left and right on the map. And if it felt bad for Boosted as Fuck, now it just feels even worse, as this tower is going to fall next. Now we finally see a tangible gold lead in this game. And the biggest lead is on the Cassiopeia, which is so punishing for this Boosted as Fuck team. They will have to reach really hard in order to find the right initiation in this game. Sejuani is going to be extremely tanky, so she can just basically stand in front of the team. Even if she gets tagged by the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, it shouldn't really amount to anything. As now, as I say that, Arenz gets tagged by one, and his health bar, I don't think it moves by more than a millimeter right there, as Chop the Farmer goes in for a steal, but it's really early. But now he has the support of his team, as Rift Herald maybe about to be intercepted. Arenz in a pretty tight spot, but now it's Chop the Farmer that's getting absolutely whacked by both the Sivir and the Cassiopeia. And it's PCS who get the Rift Herald. It's a very awkward situation, as Cargilly now going in for the initiation onto Granny Spanner. Still without his summoners. They will get his man. It's still a win for PCS. They get the 2 kills and they get the Rift Herald. Now, maybe T-Zums and Gardevoir are still in danger. Walking in enemy territory right now. Don't think it should matter for PCS that the health bars are this low. They will just start this off because Arenz is still in such a strong position. He has both summoners. He has the ultimate. He wants to go in aggressively, as now maybe he miscalculated though. He's going to fall eventually. He gets one back, but he falls really fast inside of his team fight. And now PCS could be in trouble. This is BAF on the counteroffensive. It's a free kill right now. Free kills for Boosted as Fuck. Could be even more. They get another kill. It's a clean ace for Boosted as Fuck. PCS have reached for the last cookie in the jar, but they didn't realize the jar did not have cookies in it. All it had is just shards of glass, and they got hurt real bad. They get clean ace, they lose the mid tower, they lose the dragon. This was such a dream scenario for Boosted as Fuck. And it really feels like a mistake from Pieces of Hate. The first one, perhaps, to take that fight with bot lane being this low, Yuna not having the health bar, and one other member also being low, but also Arenz just disrespecting his opponents, it has to be said. Now, Betamu, he's mighty squishy with that Prowler's Claw and just the long swords. Gardevoir may be behind, but he still packs a punch. With that rank 2 ultimate, Luden's Echo, Sork Shoes completed. He's not entirely helpless here. But PCS will still try to move for this dive. Chop the Farm and Digitest here in defensive positions. PCS trying to push their advantage. Granny Spanner still mid, Urgot in the bottom lane. PCS, as of right now, they have the numbers advantage. They will try to force this thing down. And BAF will not resist this time. But instead, they get the bot lane turrets, so it's not all bad. It's a trade of objectives. Feels like they're very much fine with what is going on right now. But they still have to be very careful. This Cassiopeia has to be the priority target, as now we see the initiation onto the Sivir as Spell Shield comes out. But it can only block one thing. Chop the Farmer still going in for that kill. Can he get it? No, he can't. Boosted as fuck. They keep going in. They will get the response onto Arin's T-Zubs. With the execution, Bedamu now behind enemy lines. Has to use the tunnels to get out of there. It's a 1-for-1 trade. As Cargilly's still pushing onto the top lane turret, so a small loss perhaps for PCS, but they gain advantages on the map. Feels like PCS are definitely taking a more cerebral approach when it comes to these games. At least recently, it feels like they are the team that makes the most rational decisions most of the time and just executes upon them really well. Now, you could say that they definitely made a misstep this game, but it's still not over yet. Lose it as fuck. Only 1,000 gold ahead right now. Maybe even less than that. Still trying to find their footing, it feels like. This Cassiopeia is obscenely strong still. Arins can basically turn any kind of team fight around just on his own. Especially when he has both Flash and Cleanse up. And the Petrifying Gaze is always going to be available. Right now we hit a little bit of a standstill when it comes to action. That should come to a close very soon because 20 seconds until the Infernal Drake and both teams are starting to get in position. Arin's already in the river. Gardevoir with his stun primed. I feel like Arin's has to be careful. Cargilly on the other flank. Boosted as fuck. They just decided they want to chase here. They want to kill Cargilly as fast as possible. Can they get the kill? Granny Spanner flashes for it. He blows his summoner, they will get the kill, but it's Pieces of Hate who get the dragon. But now, will it just be a dragon for Baron trade? Boosted as fuck, onto the objective. Can they get it down fast enough? Seems like the answer is no. PCS will be able to fight for this. And it's Boosted as fuck who turn immediately! Sivir and Nico down! Just like that! Feels like PCS can't they even approach this objective at this point. It's just Boosted as fuck who are going to take the Baron. Oh, but now Digitest in a lot of trouble. He's going to stay alive though. Oh no, he won't! The burn just about takes him out. And PCS get one back, but they lose the Baron. Such an important fight. Such an important decision to make for Boosted as fuck. They pull the trigger. Oh, it ends with the flash. tries to take down Granny Spanner, but it's just not a kill. Now Bedamu onto T-Zums, but he does not have any HP. Built like an assassin, under-leveled. Cannot stand a chance versus T-Zums, and now, boosted as fuck. I feel like we've seen this story before. Struggling a little bit in the early game, but now they're mounting another comeback as Arenz very desperate to try and get away from his situation without any sums. Chop the farmer, he's going in! He's not gonna get Arenz with a Pop Blossom, but he still gets the kill. But now PCS, they have to just run away from this spot. They can't afford to keep going. Boosted as fuck, with another kill on the board. But now perhaps it's time for them to try and get things going with this Baron buff. Now it's all about the inner turrets. And they're all standing right now for PCS. So I wonder where Boosted as Fuck is going to start with this push. Not a lot going on right now, it's just T-Zums approaching the bot lane wave. He's going to suss out Bedamu here, as they're trying to make an ambush. T-Zums will just stay back for now, as Boosted as Fuck. They could be looking for mid lane right now, as Frosmoth is in a bad spot. He's just going to get jumped immediately, as now T-Zums is trying to repel two people at once. He's going to go on to Arenz, but he gets stunned immediately. It's not going to be a kill. T-Zums, he tried desperately to get a kill onto Cassiopeia, but Arenz knew exactly what would happen in this situation, and he does not hesitate. That's Boosted as Fuck. They want to get this mid lane tower down. It looks like they will.
Blue team's turret has been destroyed.
It's a 4,000 gold lead still. But it does feel like the worst has passed for PCS. Now they have to rely on solid initiations and the tanking from Cargilly, as well as the raw power that Arenz possesses still inside of this game. May have been caught a few times, but he's still so strong compared to the opposition. Both teams contesting the mid wave, but it's Gardevoir who stands way too close. But now, the response from BAF is decent. It's Arenz who gets the first kill. Now PCS finally fighting front to back, and the damage is devastating. Arenz and Yuna just wipe the floor with Boosted as Fuck. And just like that, it's a complete turnaround right before the Infernal Soul. This is such bad news for Boosted as Fuck. This puts PCS right back in the lead. When you consider the value of Infernal Soul, they're just going to keep going with this push. That was not a good moment. Gardevoir caught with his pants down a little bit. The teammates trying to save him, but they just follow suit. Straight to the fountain they go. You can see the late game team fighting at play from PCS. Both Arenz and Yuna with the big carry performances, but especially the mid lane, it has to be said. Arenz is just definitely putting the team on his back on this Cassiopeia. Despite some slip-ups along the way. But also, a very good initiation from Cargilly to start it off. gold situation would just tell you that this is an even game, but it really, really doesn't feel like one. It's once again boosted as fuck on the back foot, trying to find their way back into this game. It's going to be so difficult. Urgot definitely has the items to do a lot of damage to anyone that he flips over, but against some of these mid-range champions, there's not really a lot he can do without committing super hard to the play. And if you trade flash for flash in that situation, they don't immediately die, it's just gonna be you that dies afterwards. So it's up to Boosted as Fuck to find that initiation. It has to be really clean on their side to bring this game back. Right now, they're kind of just wandering around, not really clearing out vision. PCS are entirely aware of what's going on. They just leave Cargilly in the side lane. Probably just going to push another turret down as PCS will try to bait out BAF, trying to see what their approach is. They're not initiating just yet, being quite hesitant when it comes to what's going on. They will just take the recalls. Gardevoir is just going to protect the base. Did PCS see that recall is the question. Looks like they did see it, where like we're suspecting Annie is just going to defend the base as PCS now onto the Baron. An Enchanted Crystal Arrow whiffs. It's Annie versus Sejuani in the side lane, but the TP gets cancelled immediately. Cargilly just TPing in sheer vision versus the opponents. Ariz is going to get jumped out, but he flashes in time. Can BAF get to the Cassiopeia? That's a win condition, but they can't. The damage is too much. They just get mowed down by the late game carries, and that should be the end of this game. The failed TP did not matter because Arins and Yuna are simply too strong for Boosted as Fuck to handle. It was not an easy victory for PCS. BAF made them work for it. They continue to show their strength, but this time PCS once again proved why they are the team to beat, and they also book their ticket to playoffs as the first team in Season 8 of UNL. Eventually the Nexus will explode and we can confirm that. There we go. 7-2 right now in the standings. Pieces of Hate continues to show their dominance in the league even after this role swap.